Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing February's TBR to be rolled. The TBR game that I've been playing for a couple years now. We updated it in January, so I'll leave a link to that video down below just in case you missed it. We've updated a little bit of the rules. We have some new cards. We will go over like a brief introduction again just in case. But yes, it is now going to be February and it is time to play the game again. This is my colorful die that has different colors, because it's colorful, obviously. And every single color corresponds to different cards, and those different cards will tell us different ways of picking my TBR. So red corresponds to cards of like who else is gonna pick my book for me. Orange is for my TBR box. Yellow is for like format or genre prompts. Green is for challenge prompts. Blue is for a poll pick, so you guys get to pick my book. And then purple is for like required reading this year. So this is going to be like for the buzzword that we have a new prompt every single month, or my 12 books and 12 friends that I'm trying to do every single month. That kind of stuff. Stuff that I have that I really want to get in, that I might not be able to get in based on other people picking my TBR or the challenge cards, that kind of stuff. So, yes. Those are the rules for that. We do have our cards. Let's review what we had for reading last month before we jump into like what my plans are for February. So last month we rolled the ball 5 times. Although that is not necessarily going to be the minimum amount. We will get into that as well. I had 3 physical books that I was supposed to read and 2 ebooks. So the first book that rolled in January was a red card, so Presley got to pick a book. He picked Vicious Spirits by Kat Cho for me. This is the sequel to Wicked Fox, which I read a few years ago now, really enjoyed, and I actually got this as an audiobook from my library and realized that I don't want to read it. I don't know if this is just my mood, because I definitely did mood read a little bit in January. My mood was just not in it, or if I'm at the point where it's been so long since I read Wicked Fox and I'm not reading as much YA, if I want to actually just like unhaul this. I have not fully decided, but I didn't read this one. Then we rolled an orange, which was my TBR box, and I picked papers out, and I ended up picking Star Trek Demons by J.M. Dillard. I did not read this one, because again, I was reading a lot of mood read stuff, and I just did not get to it. The third roll got us a blue, which was a poll pick, and you guys voted for Cosplay and Confrontation by Sarah Zane. I have read this one and finished it. Then the fourth roll was another blue, so another poll pick, and you guys voted for me to read Nailbiter by Joshua Williamson. I did read this one and finish this one as well. And then the last roll that we had was a purple card, which was to read a book that was gifted to me. I had picked Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. I did not read this one. Again, time got away from me. I read a lot of stuff, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit because of my punishment that we have for the month, but I did not read this one. So that means out of a total of 5 books that I was supposed to read in the month of January, I only read 2. However, I've actually read 12 whole books in the month of January, plus I'm in the middle of 2 more. One will for sure be done by the end of January. I have a couple days left. So I'm going to say that I've read 13 books in the month of January, because one more will be finished. The other one will probably roll over into February. So I read 13 books. I am doing a thing this year where I'm saving $1 for every book read. And my punishment though is if I don't read something that was put on my TBR, I'm also saving $1 for that. So I have 13 books that I've read in January, plus 3 more that I did not finish. So I need to save $16 for January. So I do have 10, 5, 1, $16 here that I'm gonna put in my book pot. This is the Book of Eyes that came in an Illumicrate. Who knows what month it was? I really don't. But it's based on a book from Sorcery of Thorns, which I absolutely love. And so for right now, that's where I'm keeping the money that we're saving from every single TBR / book that I read for the year. So $16 going right in here. But that's my only punishment. So I did end up reading a book for the buzzword, which was Nailbiter. Thank you guys so much. That was the only book I had with the word there in the title, because it was like Nailbiter Volume 1, There Will Be Blood. I did read a book for 12 and 12. I have read every single arc that I needed to read in January. So like I'm doing things that I needed to do, plus some mood reading, but I didn't get to 3 of the books. It's okay. Let's move into what we're going to read in February. So first of all, I am a co-host for the Hitchhiker's Read Along, and we did read the first book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in January. We are now reading the second book, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, in February. So this is my ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's not this whole thing, but it does have all the books in it. So we will be reading the second book in February, so that is something I'm going to try and get on the TBR. The next thing that we have is my Patreon book club. In February, we are reading Say You'll Be Mine by Naina Kumar. I really am hoping to get my hands on a physical copy. It came out on January 16th, so this is one of the book club books that is going to be in the like new release category. I was gonna go pick it up on the day it released, on its book birthday, and that was the day I found out I had the flu this month. So, yeah, I have not picked it up yet, but I definitely want to read it. This is going to be a romance that I think has like some fake dating sort of stuff while these characters are like trying to go to weddings and everything. I'm very excited about this one. So this is going to be my Patreon book club pick for February. I also have 2 arcs for the month of February going into March. The first one is a manga that comes out on February 13th called The White and Blue Between Us by Kiyohiko. This is something that I'm pretty sure is like an LGBTQ type of story about boys that like were friends in high school, and I think they've eventually moved past high school and are trying to figure out if they're just friends or something more. I'm very excited for this one, and it is, like I said, coming out on February 13th, so this is something I need to read at the beginning of February. The next one that I would like to read in February is actually coming out in March. I'm trying to get on top of those arcs, especially since I just recently did a NetGalley like bookshelf tour, and I was talking about how I'm usually really good about arcs at the beginning of the year, and it falls off a little bit near the end. So I'm trying to be like extra on top of it. We have a book coming out on March 12th. And so I want to read it in February, called Those Beyond the Wall by Micaiah Johnson. This is the sequel to The Space Between Worlds, or a companion novel to The Space Between Worlds. I'm not entirely sure exactly which one, but I absolutely loved The Space Between Worlds, and so I definitely need to read this because I requested it, and I was so excited to get this. Yes, this is going to be like an adult sci-fi. The first book, so The Space Between Worlds, did have sapphic romance in there. It wasn't like the biggest part of the plot, so I'm not entirely sure what we have in this one, but I'm very excited and I would like to read it in February. And then we have my other sort of required reading. We have my 12 books, 12 friends. I don't know which book I'm going to pick for February. I did read one in January, so I only have 11 books left. We're gonna try and slot one in. And then we also have the buzzword for February, which is positive words. I don't know what I'm gonna pick for this yet either, except for the fact that I didn't finish or even start Prince Charming in January, and I would like to read it, and I feel like charming is a very positive word, so like this could definitely work. So those are all the like required reading, things that I know I need to read in the month of February that I would like to try and fit in this TBR. Now, normally I used to only roll 5 times, and it ended up that way again in January. But one of the new things that I was doing, especially since my punishment for not finishing a TBR is just saving money, which is like a great thing, we're rolling a d12 at the beginning of all the rolls to determine exactly how many rolls I'm gonna do. However, I do want to start with 5 minimum. So I did mention in January that like if my dice rolls a 4, I'm going to re-roll it so I can make sure we're at least a minimum of 5 or higher. And I had a wonderful viewer comment that why wasn't I just taking the lower number and adding it to 5? So if I roll a 1, it's actually 6. If I roll a 2, it's actually 7. If I roll a 3, it's actually 8. If I roll a 4, it's actually 9. And then if I roll a 5, it's 5. So I think that is a great idea because it actually gives me double the chance of getting a 6, 7, 8, or 9, which I think is not too crazy. We still only have one chance of getting a 5 and only one chance of getting a 10, 11, or 12, but I feel like that makes more sense than trying to re-roll. So thank you so much for that comment. That is exactly what we will be doing today. And I think that is all the housekeeping we talked about last month. We talked about what I want to do this month. And so yeah, it's time to roll. Okay, so starting off, we do have my D12. We're just gonna roll this and see how many times we're rolling for February. And it's a 4, which means we're gonna roll 9 times today. Okay. So according to the dice, we're gonna roll this 9 times, but one thing I forgot to mention earlier is we do actually have where if I roll any color 3 times, we have to add on a roll. That has only happened a couple times because mostly I was only doing like 5 rolls. Now that we have 9, I'm a little worried about where we're actually gonna get to, but we'll see. So, are you ready?
Yes!
Okay, who's gonna roll first?
Me!
Okay, Presty's gonna roll first. Try and roll it this way, okay?
Yeah. It's purple.
It's purple. So roll number 1 was purple. So these are gonna be required reading cards. Okay, here is the purple cards. What are we gonna pick? Right off top.
Huh?
Okay, it says readathon. So this card says readathon. And this is something where if I'm doing a readathon, I'm gonna pick for the readathon. If I'm not currently doing a readathon, I was gonna pick reading vlog or read along, whatever I didn't have in my deck. But the thing is, February actually does have a readathon. It's Fantasy Romance February, and I think like the first 2 weeks or somewhere around there, they have a readathon for fantasy romance books. I don't know what prompts we have because they have not released those yet. But for this at least, I'm gonna pick a fantasy romance because I know that's basically what I would be reading for that readathon. Okay, and I have a lot of Stuff Your Kindle books, and I'm pretty sure quite a few of these could be considered fantasy romance. So just based on the covers that I have and not knowing much about them, we're gonna pick one. Do you wanna help me pick one of these ones?
This one.
That one? I think that one will work. Okay, so Presley helped me pick one. He went through a couple. One was sci-fi, one was mystery, but the one that he decided to pick, right over here, I will pop it up on the screen as well. The Midnight Prince by Angie Grigaliunas. This is a Cinderella retelling from a series called Once Upon a Prince that I think might have multiple different authors, so you don't have to read them in order. I do not remember if this is actually fantasy romance. The cover does look like it, and the fact especially that the prince, I guess, on here looks like he has like black hands that are like creeping up his arms. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's a curse or something going on. So our first choice is the Midnight Prince. Roll number
2.
Okay, who's gonna roll?
You.
My turn. Okay, ready?
Whoa, it's orange.
Orange. Okay, roll number 2 is orange, which corresponds to my TBR box. We're gonna pick a card telling us how many papers we can pick out of the box and then pick from that. Does that make sense? Okay, orange cards this time. What number is that?
4.
4. Okay, so we're gonna pick 4 cards and I have to pick from that. Okay, so here's our box. I shook this up a little earlier just because I had to put a couple papers back from last time that I just didn't put back yet. So we're gonna pick 4 papers and then pick a book to read from those. Let's see. Here's the first one. Spark by Bridget Kemmerer. This is going to be part of a series that I have from her, and I don't remember if it's book 2 or book 3, but I would need to read book 2. So if I pick this, it'll be whatever book 2 is. Let's do the second choice. Spells of Iron and Bone by Sarah Piper. This is a book that I got during Stuff Your Kindle, and I think it actually might be a fantasy romance, which could be good. Number 3, Star Trek Demons. which is a book that I did pick last time but didn't read, and it's come up again, so this also could be a good one to pick. And number 4, reaching down to the bottom in the middle of a bunch of papers. Okay. Fly with the Arrow by Sarah K.L. Wilson. This is a book that's actually on my 12 books, 12 friends list that Lana from Lauren Lullabies picked for me. So I think it's also fantasy romance, potentially. I'm gonna pick this one. I'm just gonna say already, I'm gonna pick this one because I need a 12 and 12 for this month anyway, and the fact that it came up is gonna be perfect. I do not know anything about this book. I actually picked it up during a Stuff Your Kindle event, so it was free last time during Stuff Your Kindle, and that was actually after Lana had already told me to read it. So we're going with Fly with the Arrow. Are we doing a pattern?
Yes.
Okay, roll number 3. Okay, throw it. It's
Orange again.
It was orange again. Okay, roll number 3 was also orange, so we're gonna pick another orange card. Orange cards again. Which one are you gonna pick? The one on top, which is another 4. Okay.
4 plus 4 equals 8.
You're right. We're gonna pick 4 more papers. Number 1 is Fence Volume 4. So this is a comic series. That would be a really easy one to get in. Number 2 is Bride of the Shadow King by Sylvia Mercedes. This, I think, is another fantasy romance that I picked up during a Stuff Your Kindle event. Number 3 is The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Niveau. I don't remember if this is the first book in that series or not, but these are novellas that I have on my Kindle, so that could be good. I believe they're just fantasy. And number 4
I found number 4
is Edge of Wonder by Jenna Collette. This is from a series by this author, but I don't think this is book number 1. I want to say it's book number 4 potentially. So based on what I have here, I'm gonna go with Fence Volume 4 because of the fact that it is a comic bind-up. I really enjoyed volumes 1 through 3. It's gonna be short. I love the art style. I need to know where this story is going, and it's gonna be easy to fit into this TBR. Roll number 4. Ready?
Yes. Oh! It almost hit you.
What is it?
Blue.
Blue. Okay, roll number 4 is blue, which means this is a poll pick. We're gonna pick a blue card to then tell us what other card to pick. You'll see. Okay, here's the blue cards. Picking from the top again. What color is that?
Purple.
Purple. Okay, so we're gonna pick purple cards. Okay, so now we're gonna pick a purple card and then pick options for you guys to vote on.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Yes. Okay, so the Stephen King card is related to the fact that I was trying to do a Stephen King project last year. I got 1 vlog out, and I'm about halfway through another one. I just burnt out too quickly on that. So I think because this is a poll pick, I'm gonna pick some options of the next things that I need to read for that vlog. And you guys will just pick on, I guess, what the next one I'm going to read is. Okay, so I have 4 Stephen King books left in this vlog that I need to do. These are all books that were published in the 80s. So I have The Drawing of 3. This is the sequel to The Gunslinger, and The Gunslinger was not something that I needed to read for this project, but The Drawing of 3 was. So I did read The Gunslinger last year. Did not enjoy it, but I've heard this one is better. It's the 2nd book in the Dark Tower series. I hopefully said that. So this is option number 1. We then have a reread for me, which is Misery by Stephen King. Misery has a movie with Kathy Bates that's pretty amazing, and this one is going to be very like contemporary thriller suspense about a like rabid fan who has taken an author hostage because they want them to write the next book in the series, I think. So yeah. We then also have The Tommyknockers. This one is huge, by the way. I think it's the biggest out of these ones that we have here. I'm pretty sure this is sci-fi. We determined that at the end of last year sometime when I was trying to put it on a September TBR. I was trying to do way too many Stephen King things at once. So yes, sci-fi, potentially. Also, like I said, the biggest one of these 4. And then the last one I have here is The Dark Half. This actually would also be a reread for me, whereas like the Tommyknockers and The Drawing of Three are not rereads. They would be the first time I read them. This is about an author who is accused of a crime, I believe, and then he potentially has a dark half. I did say this would be a reread for me. This was something that I read a long time ago, so I don't 100% remember. Okay, so these are the 4 books that you're going to get to vote on. I will have the poll up on Instagram for 24 hours in my stories when this video goes live. However, if you missed that or don't want to go find that, you can also comment down below, but I will have the link to my Instagram and everything down below as well. So yes, vote on a Stephen King book, please. Roll number 5. Go for it. Oh.
It is purple again.
Purple again. Okay, roll number 5 is another purple, so we're gonna pick another purple card. Purple cards. Okay. Book club.
Book club.
Book club. Okay, so this card is very needed and also very self-explanatory. We are going to be picking Say You'll Be Mine by Naina Kumar because it is my Patreon book club pick for February. Like I said before, this is a romance that we're going to be reading together and discussing at the very beginning of March. I'm very excited for it. It is a new release, and so yes.
You too.
Roll number 6.
6. Oh! Whoa!
Oh.
It opens again.
Okay, that's our 3rd orange. We're gonna have to add on a roll. Okay, so roll number 6 is another orange, which means we now have 3 oranges. We will be adding another roll on at the end. But let's pick an orange card.
Oh, it has numbers again.
They do have numbers again. Okay, orange card. Again, picking from the top. What do we got?
3.
A 3 this time. Okay.
3 papers.
So yes, 3 papers. Let's do option number 1. Heroine Worship by Sarah Kuhn. This is the sequel to Heroine Complex by Sarah Kuhn, which I really, really enjoyed. It is like a superhero comedy sort of one that has a little bit of romance. So this is a good pick. Number 2.
Number 2.
Okay. The Little Mermaid's Voice by Shona Slayton. This, I cannot tell if it's a YA or an adult. It is indie, and it's going to be a Little Mermaid retelling. I have this because this author I think is based in Arizona, and so yeah, this could be an option. And number 3.
Number 3.
What do we got? Firefly Life Signs. So this is a novel based in the Firefly universe. Life Signs I don't think is number 1, and I don't necessarily know if you have to go in order, but like I would want to just in case. This is like expanding the world since the TV show only got 1 season and then there's like a movie and whatnot, so I think these are set before the movie. Okay. Which one am I gonna pick? You know what? I think I'm gonna go with Heroine Worship. I had a lot of sci-fi books that I was reading in January, and like technically, yes, superheroes is still sci-fi, but I'm leaning toward this one. It's not gonna be fantasy romance, but I had a really fun time with the first one. It is humorous and action-packed. I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do this one. Heroine Worship by Sarah Kuhn. Number 7, your turn.
7.
Yep.
It is purple again.
It's purple again. We're gonna have to add on another roll. Okay, and then number 7 is purple. This is the 3rd purple, so again, we're gonna add another roll on, but that means we're gonna pick another purple card. Okay, purple cards. Again, picking from the top. Ooh, okay. ARC. Okay, so an ARC or an advanced reader copy. I'm gonna pick the one that is actually coming out in February, just in case I don't somehow get to the one that's coming out in March. So it's gonna be The White and Blue Between Us by Kiyohiko. This, like I said, is coming out like February 13th, so I definitely wanna read it, and I'm excited. Okay, roll number 8.
8. It is blue.
Blue. Okay, and roll number 7 is another blue, so another poll pick. Okay, here's the blue cards. Picking from the top, we have
Red.
red. Okay.
Red is my favorite color.
Yes, red is Presley's favorite color. Okay, red cards from the top. Oh, okay. It says viewer.
Viewer.
Viewer. Okay, so viewer means that I'm actually gonna go onto a video that I have from last year talking about my like entire owned TBR, and you guys are supposed to put comments down there so that when this comes up, I can do like a random comment selection. Since this is a poll pick, I think what I'm gonna potentially do, depending on how the comment works, because some people leave a lot of book recommendations and some people leave one. If we only have one, I have two videos, physical books and ebooks. If we have one comment that has a ton of books in it, we'll just have to pick from those. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so I have the link on here. I have answered the question that it makes me have. Let's see what we have. I do have it screen recording, so we can pop it right up here. And
What?
okay, so Liminal Season is saying I need to read Enchantment of Ravens, which I have not read yet. So this will be one option for you. I did read Sorcery of Thorns a couple years ago, really enjoyed it, and actually read Mysteries of Thorn Manor last year. So this is probably a very good pick. Now, let's see what we have for the ebooks. Okay, so now we're gonna start for that one. And this one, Timoir 1986, says Felix Ever After. So those are your two options. We have an Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson, which I do have a physical copy of, but I'll put the picture here. This is YA fantasy. I think there's some romance in here. It has fae, that's all I really know. And then we have Felix Ever After, which I believe is a contemporary trans story. So yeah, those are your two options. Again, I will post a poll on Instagram. When this goes live, it'll be up for 24 hours, or you can comment down below. Hey, your turn. Number 9.
9. This is yellow.
It is yellow. Okay, roll number 9 is yellow. So we have a new color, finally. Okay, here's the yellow cards. Okay, this is for a physical book. Okay, so I really wanted to pick The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams because of the read-along that we're doing. However, I'm actually going to read that as an audiobook because I think it would be very fun to read as an audiobook. It's narrated by Martin Freeman, who is Arthur Dent in the movie, and I've already read it before, and I would like to see how the audiobook version is. So I'm not going to count that even though I do have a physical copy. So what I have decided is to put Prince Charming back on this TBR. This was picked last month because it was gifted to me from Jess, so thank you so much, Jess. But I didn't get to it. But like I said at the beginning of the video, the buzzword for this month is positive words, and I really think charming counts. So this is a YA contemporary royalty sort of story. Prince Charming, we're going with this one. Roll number 10, because we had to add one on for orange. Ready?
Wait! It is yellow.
Another yellow. Okay, roll number 10. Our first extra is another yellow. So let's do this. Okay, here's the yellow cards again. Picking off the top, we have a mass market book. Okay, so the reason I have mass market here for yellow is because I have a ton of those that I don't pick up and gravitate towards very often because they're hiding. Not in like where my normal physical TBR is, over there. So I'm gonna pick a mass market book. Okay, so I think I'm going with Heat of the Moment by Laurie Handeland. This is the second book in the Sisters of the Craft series, which has witches. I did not mean to do that. It is paranormal because it has witches. I would classify it more as a paranormal romance. It is romance, but I do also think paranormal can sometimes fit under fantasy romance. So even if it's not 100% gonna fit, not gonna fit the prompts for the readathon or anything like that, out of the things that I have over there, this is what I gravitated toward the most because of the fact that it's something that I've read the first book and gave it like a 4-star. I did enjoy it, and I wanted to continue with the series. I actually have the whole trilogy, and I have had the whole trilogy since it came out like in 2015. Like they released like one book a month, which is quite rare, I feel like, to do. And this is all about sisters who don't know they're sisters. Like they're all witches, but they've all been spread out since they were like infants. Like they don't realize that they have other sisters. The first book had a character that I think was like air magic, which like she could see ghosts and stuff. This one says heat of the moment, so I'm assuming we have some sort of like fire or, you know, something. She's a veterinarian who has an affinity for animals and healing touch that is nothing short of magic. Okay. She can hear the creature's voices as well. So maybe not heat that way. It's definitely not fire. I think it's the fact that she has very like bright red ginger hair that made me think that. But it has animals. Like, I'm so into being able to hear animals. Like, yes. They are romances as well, so we're gonna pick this one. And then maybe our last roll, number 11.
11? It's green.
Green, our last roll. Okay, and then roll number 11, the last roll since we didn't have any more 3s, is green. These are challenge cards, and I absolutely love this category, and we didn't get that at all until now. So let's pick a green card. So we have green cards, but Presley's over here eating candy. Sour candy. Oh, you're gonna do both? Okay, top one. Okay, show the camera. Turn it that way, there you go. This is for a book that is under 300 pages, which is great because I have a big TBR this month. So I think something that's gonna be good for this is something that I got during Stuff Your Kindle. So like, I'm gonna try and pick another fantasy romance book, or actually, I need to stop trying to think that way. I still have to get a restaurant at the end of the universe put on this list, and I'm pretty sure it's under 300 pages. I'm gonna double check on that because I should actually do that instead. Okay, yes, according to my Goodreads, the version I read last time was 256 pages. They're all around that, so it is definitely under 300. So even though I'm going to be listening to the audio, it definitely counts for under 300 pages. And so that is the entire 11 book TBR. I will say, if I start to read something and I DNF it, that still counts. It's not that I haven't tried, so I don't have to like have a punishment for that. Also, if I decide to switch something out for something else, so if for some reason I don't get through the restaurant at the end of the universe in February, which I will because we're having our live show at the very end of February, but if I don't read that and I want to switch it out for another under 300 page book, I can do that and still have that count. But otherwise, anything that I don't finish in the month will be still counted for the money that I need to save. And we have a big variation of stuff here, which I'm very excited about. We have physical books and ebooks and things that are indie and things that are traditionally published, but also different genres as well. So going through just very quickly, we have The Midnight Prince, Fly with the Arrow, Fence Volume 4, whatever Stephen King book that you vote for, Say You'll Be Mine, Heroine Worship, The White and Blue Between Us, and Enchantment Ravens or Felix Ever After, again, whatever one you guys choose, Prince Charming, Heat of the Moment, and The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. So yes, overall I'm actually very happy with how many things I was able to put on this list that I need to read. Like, we got my buzzword, we got my 12 and 12, we got an arc, we got the read along and my book club. Like, I think we got almost everything on this list. So I'm very happy about that. And if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I will see you then. Bye.
100 birds.
You saw 100 birds today?
Yeah.
That is so cool. That's such a big number of birds.